Okay, block party number one. Welcome back. 91. Block party, sorry, block party number 91. Welcome back. And so we're going to start with the message, which has three parts, 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to talk about the media, not medium, but plural media, which has three parts, A, B, C. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's start with the message, 1, 2, 3. The first part of the message starts with Guy McPherson sounding the alarms and netting out with Professor Stephen Salter saying that we've got marine cloud brightening as a solution. You know, in terms of, what Marco often puts as his background, the red and white sailboat, right? As a technical solution, right? And then part two of the message is called Okay, Sherlock, because it goes like this. Okay, Sherlock. So you got a nice picture of a red sailboat and you say with 1,000 of these, we can cool the planet. Okay, Sherlock, how are you going to get that done? Who's going to pay for it? Okay. And part two ends with a complete detailed plan of exactly how Sherlock proposes to, it's the collective Sherlock, how the collective Sherlock proposes to get it done. So we now have a plan, a detailed plan, right? Think of one of those project plans where there's multiple different parts of the project that have different start times and end times and dependencies and all that. So we need a whole complete project plan, right? That includes financing and engineering and research and development and the government parts, the legal parts, the tech, on and on and on and on, including all the way down to the marketing and the PR and everything else. How are we going to get this done? So that's part two. So again, part one starts with the urgency and ends with marine cloud brightening as an idea, as a concept, and as a research project that's been ongoing for decades. We've got a lot of good stuff done, right? So part one, the end of part one is a really awesome solution that's pretty well specified, okay? With a lot of research backing it. So then part two is, okay, Sherlock, how do we get it done? And the answer, a complete detailed project plan that starts with right now, exactly where we are with the budget that we have, with the people that we have, et cetera, and takes us forward. And then part three is implementation of that plan. So that's the message, that's the story, that's the narrative, right? So what are the media across which we're going to transmit that message? Well, before I talk about that, I'm going to pause and pass the feather only for questions and comments about the message. Part one, part two, part three, fire away.
Okay, BJ wants to know if not mentioning food healing, planet healing by veganism, plant-based stuff, if that will, yeah. What I know you've had probably lots of conversations about whether to even bring that in or if it will take the focus away from what needs to be done. That's what I'm imagining. What happened, but we still have to do that because of biodiversity loss, which is climate change. And I know that's immediate, but I wonder if you could briefly summarize if I'm on the right track about why you left that off. That's my question.
Okay, great. So let me screen share. Whoa. Here's what I was talking about, the message 1, 2, and 3. And then what you're talking about is, I'm going to put it in the following terms. This is door number 1. What you're talking about is door number 1, right? And the other one I'm going to put blue for cool, because it's about cooling the planet. And this is door number 2, right? Door number 1 is all about food. Door number 2 is all about cool. Okay. And I used to try to merge those two and still do. And when I do, we come up with things like vegan reflection. You'll remember that, I'm sure, right? Yeah, you were a part of it. So, you know, the only problem with taking this approach is I'm just gonna say this is too specific. And you kind of need, and for this to appeal to you, you need to have jumped through a whole bunch of hoops. And at last count, I think there's like 7 of us who've jumped through all the hoops. I'm just joking, but you know, I mean, so anyway, so what I'm suggesting is instead we take a door number 1, door number 2 approach. But the cool thing is that both of those doors lead you to the same amphitheater. Da, 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 da. And ultimately the same, I'm just going to call it the big message, right? And the big message has parts. What are the parts? Door number 1 and door number 2, right?
Thank you, Jamin. I was beginning that's an interesting approach. I was thinking of we've got to cool the planet immediately and continue with the other projects that we're working on.
Yeah, but don't forget, and balance your personal finances and catch up with the volunteer work that we needed to do down the street, and call up all your nieces and nephews who you forgot to call, and the projects in the backyard. So what I'm trying to be funny here.
Yeah.
Somebody give you some at least charity laughter, but I'm talking about it's overwhelming if you say, hey, we need this and whoa.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
Let's start with a nice, delicious plant-based appetizer, you know, a little savory with some nice toasted crackers on the side. You know, Michael might add some items to that menu, and that's all cool, right?
Thank you so much, Jamin. I appreciate the patience of everybody hearing that again. I'm sure you've heard that explanation, but I really appreciate it again for putting it into my mind. Thank you, Jamin. And
no,
thank
absolutely.
you, everybody.
I mean, this is, you know, this is how collective intelligence works, literally just like this. BJ comes into the middle of a conversation, we give her a synthesis, and she tells us where we've got our pants down, right? Michael had to run off camera because he had his pants down, right? So thank you. And I'm not joking. I mean, this is literally how collective intelligence works. Synthesis is a crucial part of it, and new people popping in is the perfect catalyst for synthesis. And then fresh perspectives is another element. So synthesis, fresh perspectives, you brought them both. Thank you, BJ. And your beautiful smile and all your light and everything. So thank you. BJ, we've been having a really cool meeting before you arrived, but with you here, now it's perfect. All right. Next time, let's get a little chorus in that. So, which leads us to the topic of decorous, but that'll come later. Decorous is this really cool thing we're cooking up. So I've talked about the message. So this is the message for door number 2. I should have clarified that in advance, and that's important, right? Because had I given you that in advance, then you're like, oh, okay, oh, got it. Okay, okay, got it. Now you're ready. Now you're really ready for the message of door number 2, which again has the 3 parts. Urgency to marine cloud brightening, okay, Sherlock, and then implementation. All right. How cool is that? Urgency to marine cloud brightening, okay, Sherlock, and implementation.
And if we could include Tim, a segment with Tim, just a few minutes, 1 minute with Tim explaining the economics of it, that would be wonderful. He was so spot on, Jim, the economist.
Yeah. No, good point. So in fact, I'm going to put that as part of the message, because the message, well, actually, no, we've got that in there. That's under OK Bill, right? here, I'm going to come up with a more sanitized way of saying no to Bill. Bill being Bill Gates, being kind of the original modern mega billionaire. So here, let me screen share. First, let me check the chat. Yeah, economics. Okay. All right. So screen sharing. So part one is from the urgency, which is Guy talking urgency, all the way through to marine cloud brightening as a technical solution. Part two, okay, Sherlock, how do we do it? Okay, Sherlock has two ways that we can go. How to get marine cloud brightening fully implemented at planetary scale. How do we do that? How do we accomplish that? And that has two possible categories of answers. One is, I just call it okay, Bill, where we say, okay, Bill, we'll pay you. You want to make money at it? Here's the way to make a bunch of money at it. Okay. And the other is no thanks, Bill. Bill being Bill Gates. We want a money-free solution. Right? Okay, let's explore both, right? And that would be centered around collective intelligence, what we're doing right here. And then part three is, I just put it right in here, implementation of whatever we create, right? In part one and in part two, really. Actually, part one gives you the idea, part two tells you how to implement it, and part three is where you actually implement it. Okay, so again, that's the message, 1, 2, 3. From Guy McPherson to marine cloud brightening, from Guy McPherson to Stephen Salter, from urgency to solution, then okay, Sherlock, and then implementation. All right. And then if that's the message, any other last questions about the message, or are we all good on the message? And then we can get to the media. All right, looks like we're all good. The lights just flashed, but I've got a backup system in case power goes out. So if power goes out, worst case, I pop out and I come back in and we start a new recording, but we'll just continue with the existing recording. Media, all right? We're going to start with a 15-second video. I'm actually going to time it so we see how long it is.
During this pause, maybe I could say we could shop around the 15-second video or the 30-second video to talk shows. You would be an amazing guest, Jamin. They fly you in and everything, you know.
No, I've been on Fox News and I know how to entertain them. So
Oh,
no,
yeah, okay.
This is going to go crazy. Both of these things that we're doing, both the door number 1 and door number 2 are both going to go exponential, and then they're going to merge. It's going to be like crossing streams, another thing that Mike knows about probably all too well. Okay, so let's go ahead and record. I'm just going to time the narrative. We have years left to live unless we cool the planet in time. Fortunately, we have the solutions to cool the planet in time. In time is measured in months, which is the time we have until the last of the Arctic ice melts. And the solution to cool the planet within that multi-month time frame is marine cloud brightening. That was 30 seconds, and I'm sure I can get it down to 20, right? Thank you. That's it. And that'll go viral on TikTok. 10 million people are going to hear 4 experts, expert professor, PhD researchers, etc. Go bam, 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 5 seconds each, 20 seconds. Here it is. So we're gonna script it like word for word. We're almost there. So that's, remember I told you media is ABC. 1, 2, 3. So the message has phases 1, 2, 3. Yeah, what's up? You know, urgency to solution, to marine cloud brightening. Okay, Sherlock, and implementation. The media starts with a 20-second TikTok video that 10 million people see. 10% of those, AKA a million people, then go on to part B of media. Remember, part A was the 20-second TikTok video that blew your mind. And there's one request that we make of everyone who watches that video. Please watch this 60-minute video where we go way deeper. And that's the one I'm going to recap that James did. And we're just we're about 10 minutes away from being able to play that because the videos are still converting. And so the 60-minute, once you've watched the 60-minute video, Mike and BJ and Marco and Sarah, do you remember the good, and Gabrielle, remember the good old days when we'd watch 60 Minutes on Sunday night on our color TVs? We all remember that. At the end of those 60 minutes, man, you knew some cool stuff. That's what these 60 minutes are going to be like. By the end of these 60 minutes, man, you know some cool stuff. It was like eating a big vegan dinner that was intellect, information, perspectives. You know, my favorite parts were where people would slam the door in their face and run away from the camera. But anyway, that was part of the drama. And we've had plenty of that. We've had plenty of that, right? So 60 minutes, TikTok, 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 except we just need to put a bomb underneath the alarm clock, right? TikTok, 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 TikTok. You know, in fact, let that be the beginning of the video. TikTok, TikTok. Hi, I'm Guy McPherson. I'm Ye Tao. I'm da-da-da. I'm da-da-da. You know, join us for, you know, both learning about the most urgent crisis on the planet and its solution, all in 60 minutes, right? And I'll be like the fat guy, you know, at the end who, you know, says, you know, hi, you know, I ate too much. And, but that all happened when I was pre-vegan. And now I'm actually, anyway, enough about me. What do you think of me? Anyway, and so we wrap it all up in 60 minutes and that's it. But at that point, they've got religion. If they sat through those 60 minutes, they're in the family. They're graduates, right, of the most important curriculum on earth, which is get your head out of your culo, pardon my French or my Spanish, and, you know, join the conversation.
Are we going to include like pound sign Dutch 42? You think? Is that what?
Yeah. Those are details that the short answer is yes.
Okay.
But even that will see part 2 of the media is the 60-minute video. Part 3 is join the conversation, right? The 20-second video is shake and bake, baby. Shake and bake. 20 seconds. Wow. You just blew my mind in 20 seconds. And you're telling me I've got to watch a 60-minute video. Yes. And 1 in 10 people will watch it. That's 1 million people. 1 million people who are now in the family. And then let's say 10% of those join the conversation. That's 100,000 people. 100,000 people spread across 1,000 Zoom rooms with 100 people each. Well, actually, it'll be more like 100,000 people spread out over 168 hours in a week, right? With an average.
Like one guy named Joe Rogan has like 11 million listeners, I believe. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan, by the way, but anyway, that I think, you know what I'm saying? They're out there. Yep.
Yeah.
We got to counter that thinking.
Yeah, totally. Exactly.
And I don't know what your estimate is of the number of people who will be like Joe Rogan and immediately do a response to fake news. You know, that will come up immediately before they've even listened to the 60 Minutes, you know. And you know how at least some of my friends at where I go, they, you know, I told them about Seaspiracy and, oh, well, I'm getting off track. And they said they read the reviews and it was fake, you know, or something like that. It wasn't fake, but so we have to be ready for that counter also. Which it sounds like you are just say refer to see the video yourself, maybe. Watch the video.
That's why I advocate having an actual TV show, weekly TV show, boil down things, 1 hour a week. We could have our weekly hour and we could continue the momentum that we're building. And everybody pays attention to TV shows. Everybody spends their time watching TV. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and see, that's phase 3, which is join the conversation, which we also record as not just one TV show, but more like, I don't know, 1,000, because, you know, those 100, you know, those 100,000 people are going to spread themselves over the 168 hours per week, right? And, you know, on average, you're going to have 1,000 of those people on at any given time, including middle of the night, you know, middle of the day, just on average, 1,000 people inhabiting what, 10 Zoom rooms. So it's going to be more like a cable network with 10 channels. What's up? Not just one weekly TV show, but a whole cable network live 24/7 with 10 channels. How cool is that? And we've got the perfect domain names for that. I won't go into those details now. And voila, that's phase 3. So we got
Triple C branded content. Triple C branded content.
Exactly. Triple C is a part of it. No, seriously, certified compassionate is a part of it. Absolutely. Right. So I think we got this. Let me see how the recording conversion is going. It's 57% of the way there, so we probably got another 10 minutes. I know I keep saying that every 10 minutes, but this time I mean it. Anyway, passing the feather, we are recording. Should we just take a pause for? Let's take a pause from recording. Okay, after a pause, you know, we've got these different time frames. The time frame by which we need to go vegan, which is yesterday. The time frame by which we need to cool, I'll say begin cooling the planet, perhaps with priority on the Arctic, among other places, mind you. You know, there's the Caribbean that's getting pummeled with hurricanes. We can cool that down, right? You cool the Caribbean, you take the gasoline out of the James Dean car that's about to barrel over the cliff, right? So
yeah, if your deadline is when it's melted, you have to go back a little bit, you know, to
exactly.
be able to keep it from melting.
That's exactly right. And also, you know, in terms of the heat, and this is just the reality, right? I wish it were otherwise, but the reality is that, you know, we use this analogy. I don't know if you ever saw, you know, Rebel Without a Cause, where James Dean and this other guy are racing towards a cliff, and one of them jumps out of his car in time and the other doesn't and goes over the cliff. So there's the time frame within which we need to act is before we get to the edge of the cliff, right? Basically what we're doing right now is we're like the drunk driver who says, oh, plenty of roadway in front. He's going 100 miles an hour and he's, you know, 1,000 feet from the edge of the cliff, and it's a dirty road. So it may take him, you know, 5 seconds to get to the edge of the cliff, right? That's roughly accurate. It may take him 5 seconds to get to the edge of the cliff, but he may only have 3/4 of a second within which to act before it's too late. right? So we need to know the 5 seconds, and we need to know the 3/4 of a second. And then let's say the edge of the cliff is the Grand Canyon. He may have another 7 seconds.
Sorry, my mic was on. Sorry about that. I'll turn that off. But quick note, do marine cloud brightening, does that create more snow? Because everybody wants more snow right now.
It'll definitely create more snow because it'll cool the planet. And so definitely. So anyway, so we have the time frames, but here's the thing, everyone going vegan would be like pressing a button and a little spoiler goes up in the back. And your speed drops from 100 miles per hour to 98, right? And it would keep on dropping every 1,000 feet that you go. It's just that with the first 1,000, you've already run out of runway and now you're airborne, right? There are those who argue that we're already airborne and we need to be working on a parachute, right? All I know is that the Hart sisters got it right back in the 70s. You better think up something quick, because you're gonna burn, 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 burn it to the wick. Barracuda, bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, 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 ba, 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 bum, bum. Thank you, Sarah, for laughing at my music. It makes me feel good. Okay. So we better think up something quick. We're talking, 3/4 of a second time frame per the analogy, right? In reality, we probably have weeks. And I'm not joking. I wish it weren't 2022. I wish it were 1975 and I could just freaking go to the hills for the weekend.
I wonder if it takes an actual company, like a huge company, to get this done. Like they're good at getting things, big things done mechanically, like a company. I won't name some of the companies I would think about, but they're good at building things, shit, they can build it. To get the order, they'll build it,
Well, it turns out, I believe, Michael, that the first thing, so we talk about, marine cloud brightening, we talk about, because that's applying the brakes, right? And it's applying the brakes in a very sensitive way, not where you just slam on the brakes and you skid, the final, 0.2 of a mile. And, you're over the edge of the cliff. It's applying it, in just the right way, AJ Foyt style, right? Just the right touch. But AJ Foyt, even though he's AJ, he's only got 3/4 of a second to act. So we got to act now. And the first action is coming together. So the very first action, it's like if you bring it all the way back to literally right now, Friday, January 7th, what do we get to? We need to finish the speccing out of the 30-second video. We need to do a recording of it, and we need to approve or reject James's video, which is like literally 2 or 3 minutes away at this point from us watching it. So if 3 minutes go by, yell at me and I'll play the video. And that's the preview of 60 minutes. So you got 20 seconds, 60 minutes, and then join the conversation. And in those 3 phases, you have 10 million people, 1 million people, and 100,000 people. And with that, boom, we launch the collective intelligence. Now, the reason I said all that in response to what you said, Michael, is because you said, oh, there's a company that could build it. The collective intelligence we are the company that's building the collective intelligence, because we need the 100,000 people in order to act in really brilliant ways, right? And these are going to be the 100,000 people who are least afraid, most courageous, and most convinced that we need to act. Oh, BJ, sorry, your hand looked like a lemon, and so I wasn't able to see it. But go ahead, BJ.
Yeah, not the best way to get attention on that. Oh goodness. Okay, so my question is, of the scientific video, I heard the names that you listed, and the most famous one to my mind, and tell me if this is correct, is Peter Wadhams, and the most credible. I mean, he's got the largest, he's been around the longest, he's got a lot of credible. So is he going to kind of, how you can do a video, you can put somebody's face right up there at the beginning, something, so people know he's there. The other people, have mixed reviews about, or they don't know them, but they're all fantastic, bringing it together. Is that also part of your whole media media plan?
Yeah, I got a little distracted there. I apologize. James, please, if you don't mind recapping, and then I know James has, but I'll respond to you first. Go ahead, BJ.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Do you want to go ahead with James? Michael? Or?
No. I was just acknowledging James, but I'd like to hear from you first. And I'm so sorry to ask you to recap it again. I'm going to pause. I'll pause recording.
Yeah, I know. I was just saying to what BJ was saying there in regards to Peter Wadhams being the utmost respected, scientist in his field, and he's been studying his work for 30 years now and everything else. He's very much respected, of course, but so are all the other scientists, and some are controversial, of course, and some are unheard of. But it doesn't matter in the sense that combined, they're giving you an overall picture of where we are. And not only are they giving you an overall picture, but they're laying the cards on the table for people to get the truth, so they can actually, come up with make their own decisions for their futures. In other words, the right decisions. And people can't make the right decisions without being informed with the right information. So, and they'll actually, in total there'll be 11 people there anyway. You know what I mean? Including Jamin and Silas as well. You know what I mean? Because the collective intelligence and the food comes into it, as well as the solar radiation management and the, saving the biosphere. So it'll all be covered in that way. And I think the best way to do it, to go about it, is to actually do it organically, in the sense that I know myself, Professor Wadhams. I know him from being at COP26 and from watching him in previous videos. He's not he's a shy man in himself, and he makes considerable effort, puts in considerable effort doing all these videos and everything for his age and everything, give him his respect and everything, and is due to him. So I think it's the best to just have the meeting and let it go on organically. And I would say then, because Stephanie is a video editor herself anyway as well, so she will be able to edit out the crucial statements of each one of those, and then make the 30-second video out of that. And that would be an organic from the heart video, of statements from the heart rather than rehearsed statements. She can cut out the simple statements, the poignant statements that each of them make while they're giving their 4 or 5 minute presentation each. And Stephanie can cut out the poignant statements and put those together in a 30-minute advertisement where it's from the heart and poignant. Catch it organically, and that's the best way to do it, because it's natural. Then it's not something that seems forced or anything. So that'd be definitely one way to go about it.
I love that, James. Thank you so much. I'm just so thrilled I stepped into this meeting today. Thank you and welcome.
Yeah, who is Stephanie? So for those of us that don't know, is that your significant other?
That's my daughter, Stephanie.
Your daughter? Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. That's great. Wow. That's so cool. Thank you.